The growth around Ripple and even XRP just continues. And I know that you guys are going to say in the comments already, yeah, but the price of XRP just continues to drop. And I want you guys to realize that this space is still tied right back to Bitcoin. So if you're complaining about the price of XRP and the performance of XRP right now, go and look at Bitcoin and tell me, how is Bitcoin doing? Is Bitcoin trading at new all-time highs? Is Bitcoin pumping? No, it's not. We are still very well in a Bitcoin-driven market. And until we actually get out of the Bitcoin-driven market, I hate to break it to you guys, but no, we're not going to see a lot of price action across the board for altcoins. But one thing that I will say is that we could focus on the things that will lead to price action when we finally decouple away from Bitcoin. And that's exactly why I stay committed and focused on fundamentals. Even though I know that you guys are out there frustrated, annoyed possibly, I get it. I understand the frustration. I'm right there with you. I want to see XRP pumping to $10. Who wouldn't want to see XRP, pumping to a new all-time high and going absolutely parabolic? I'm right there with you guys. But we can't get too focused on our frustration and our emotions around price action at a time where we are actually witnessing some of the biggest moves in this space, specifically pertaining to utility-based projects, like, of course, XRP. But I want to start off with RLUSD because we continue to see the market opening up for RLUSD. Now, one thing that I'm not actually happy about when it comes to RLUSD is the significance of RLUSD on Ethereum compared to the XRP ledger. Listen, it's facts. We know that there's a lot more RLUSD issued out on Ethereum than the XRP ledger. And although, yeah, right now it's not a very, significant hit to XRP, I would like to see RLUSD really kind of be bridged between Ethereum and the XRP ledger, which I suspect will happen with the EVM sidechain. But I also suspect a lot more RLUSD to be issued out on the XRP ledger once we start to see a lot of these amendments, which are starting to become a reality on the XRP ledger, get passed through and really enable institutional DeFi initiatives. But we do see Gemini enabling RLUSD. It's available for trading on Gemini. Deposits and withdrawals are enabled. And this is great to see. I think that this is great. Gemini obviously is a big exchange, one of the largest in this space. So we love to see that. And right now, in terms of RLUSD, like I said, we did see a nice little drop on the XRP ledger side, because we were at about 94.5 million or so. We're down to about 39.5 million. So a pretty big hit, which I'm not excited about. Right now, ERC20, aka Ethereum based RLUSD, is about 250 million. So there's a lot more on Ethereum than the XRP ledger. But one thing that I will notice, and really kind of make you guys witness this as well in this video, is the holders and the monthly active addresses. Do you see something very interesting? The amount of monthly active addresses on the XRP ledger around RLUSD is more than the holders of RLUSD on Ethereum, which is kind of interesting to see. Also, the total amount of holders of RLUSD on the XRP ledger, 28.7K compared to 2.5K. Very interesting. Now, we also do see the monthly transfer volume, even though the circulating supply and the bridge supply is down on the XRP ledger and the total token supply. We could see that the monthly transfer volume is still actually up in a big way, up over 20, almost 3% in the last 30 days, and it's sitting at about almost $337 million. Love to see that. But I would like to see a lot more RLUSD issued out on the XRP ledger, obviously. But if we actually look at the monthly transfer volume, still up about 47%. RLUSD is becoming very successful. And listen, I want you guys to understand that I don't really care if it's successful on Ethereum or the XRP ledger. Why? Well, because a stablecoin like RLUSD creates revenue for Ripple, which means they no longer have to sell XRP. So there is absolutely zero reason why XRP's price action should be suppressed. So when they start making a lot of money off of RLUSD, which I suspect will take a little bit more time, we will no longer have to worry about, price suppression of XRP. Now, in terms of holders, we could see that the XRP ledger has been going absolutely parabolic with holders compared to Ethereum. We could see the mint and burns here as well. And then we could also see the active addresses climbing on the XRP ledger as well. Now, recently, in the month of May, we're going to see a little bit of a drop here because the month is not over yet. I'm definitely going to be focused on this as we do get closer to the end of the month. And of course, we could see the transfer volume as well. Now, Beyond that, like I said, a lot of amendments are going live on the XRP ledger. This is actually enabling institutional players. This is actually deep freeze. It's now live on the XRP ledger, built for issued tokens only, not XRP. It offers essential controls for regulatory compliance, fraud prevention, sanctions enforcement, and institutional grade tokenization. This is huge. This is actually huge for institutional players. And we actually see here that deep freeze strengthening institutional asset control on the XRP ledger. Big shout out to Max Avery. He did make a video. I'm not going to play his video. If you guys do want to go check it out, I highly suggest you guys do. But basically, the way to summarize this is exactly how Max put it. Deep freeze lets issuers instantly lock down all of their tokenized assets with just one command. Everything's frozen. This gives banks and financial institutions that control they've been asking for. Stop fraudulent activity on the spot. Meet compliance needs without delays. Keep XRP itself free, fast, and unaffected. And yes, this is great. It's huge for the ecosystem, and it's huge for exactly what Ripple is trying to do, which is push forward with tokenization initiatives. Now, on top of this, we also did get an update from the COO at the XRP Ledger Labs, as well as XRP Wallet. We actually have here April saw over 200 million XRP processed. This is $200 million in XRP processed in just payments alone, with on-chain trading volume manually signed with XRP Wallet in the tens of millions. Guys, this is incredible. It's telling us that the ecosystem around XRP is actually growing. We can't just keep focused on, stablecoin initiatives. When we think about the XRP ledger, it is starting to grow. It's starting to expand. The ecosystem is starting to become a big deal. And this is something that I'm focused on and I'm watching for, because it means that the ecosystem is opening up, which means XRP is being utilized more. XRP volume is rising. The users on the network is growing as well. This is all very good news for the underlying asset XRP. But outside of that, we also did get a big report from Ripple. I'm sure that you guys are all aware of this now, but we have from Brad Garlinghouse that Q1 2025 was an incredible quarter for Ripple, with our acquisition of Hidden Road and the end to the SEC case, not to mention institutional interest in XRP ETPs globally. Moving forward, the XRP markets report will look a little different. Some may remember the objective of publishing these reports starting in 2017 was transparency into Ripple's holdings of XRP, which unfortunately was then used against us by the SEC and others. Our commitment to transparency doesn't change with this evolution. We will continue to publish our XRP holdings on ripple.com/XRP. Ripple and XRP related ongoing updates will also be shared through existing social channels rather than collated for a single end of the quarter update. So although, this is a great overall, update, a lot of people have been upset that they're going to, sunset some of the updates around, XRP. I'm actually not too upset about this. We're still getting that transparency. We could still see the reports and things like that. And all of the updates will be pushed to this page, which was always active. But now, all of the updates around XRP holdings will be pushed to that, side, which they do outline in the actual report. Now, we do have the report over here from Ripple, which is the start of 2025 saw major momentum for Ripple, XRP, and the broader crypto industry. The Q1 2025 XRP markets report is here. Highlights include, of course, the SEC and Ripple, case reached an agreement to end the lawsuit. Hidden Road acquired for $1.25 billion to scale XRP Ledger and RLUSD adoption. Institutional demand rises for XRP-based investment products. U.S. policy shift signals more clarity, more opportunity. Starting in Q2, the XRP markets report is evolving, which, we already went over, so we don't have to mention that. But if we actually go over to the report, we can see where they actually say, that they're going to sunset the report. Again, it's sad to see it go, but, if we really want to, stay focused on this, we could still see the access to their holdings just by going to the XRP link that I showed you guys. So again, nothing's really changing. They're just going to, separate that from these reports. But overall, yeah, it's been a huge year for Ripple. I don't think that anyone's going to, fight that. Institutions continue to back new XRP products, with Franklin Templeton filing an S1 CME announcing the launch of XRP futures, and Brazil's Comissão de Valores Mobiliários, I hope that I'm saying that name correctly, approving a dedicated XRP ETF. The SEC officially withdrew its appeal, closing the chapter on a multi-year legal saga that tested the limits of regulatory overreach and the war on crypto. Ripple acquired Hidden Road for $1.25 billion, one of the largest M&A deals in crypto history, driving more institutional use cases for RLUSD and XRP Ledger. And we do have the crypto markets summary. Now, like I said, there's a lot going on in this report. If you really want to stay focused on like the prices and things like that, you guys can. I'm actually going to be focused on these metrics down here. I actually want to focus on this in a second, but first let's actually talk a little bit more about what's happening up here. So number one, the actual market summary. So 2025 has been a huge year. I don't think that you guys need me to say that. We all experienced this together. But at the same time, market turbulence and macroeconomic uncertainty mounted as tariffs tensions escalated through February and March. Despite the volatility, XRP stood out as a top performer, showing resilience amid a volatile market and outperforming nearly every major crypto, which is exactly why I keep saying, why are we so frustrated? It could be a lot worse. XRP has been performing, just fine. Throughout quarter one, XRP outpaced assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, at one point climbing nearly 50% in early February, while Ethereum and Solana trended sharply downward and Bitcoin hovered near break even. XRP demonstrated clear relative strength. Now, of course, we do see XRP exchange traded products continue to gain traction globally with increased listings and inflows. They actually have here that XRP based investment products outperformed their Bitcoin and Ethereum counterparts, recording 37.7 million in inflows and bringing their year-to-date total to $214 million, just 1 million shy of overtaking global Ethereum funds. Again, this is showing how dominant XRP actually is in this space. XRP is absolutely dominating crypto right now. Franklin Templeton filed an S1 for a spot XRP ETF in the US. CME announced the expansion of its crypto derivatives suite with the launch of XRP futures. And of course, we already know about the 3 XRP ETFs submitted by Volatility Shares, and then Brazil with the approved dedicated XRP ETF. There's been a lot happening behind XRP. The market is opening up in a huge, huge way. Now, of course, we also do see a spotlight put on some of the key developments around regulatory discussions with the OCC, the SAB 121 rescinded, the FDIC. There's just so much happening in this space that I'm so excited about. I'm so excited about the future. I'm very excited about what's happening around the utility side. And we can clearly see institutional adoption and focus is growing. Now, if we actually scroll down, we can see a little bit of an update around on-chain activity. Now, we're going to see a lot of decline here around a few things because the market, right? It's that simple. When the market gets hit with turbulence, so does everything around activity. So transactions did drop 37% quarter over quarter, from 167, almost 168 million to about 105.5 million. XRP burned for transaction fees down about 30, almost 1%, from 725,000 to about 500,000. Average cost per transaction, we could see that. The main thing that I'm looking at here is like volume. So, the DEX volume was still close to $1 billion for the quarter, which is very good to see. This actually dropped only by about 17%. Trust lines still grew about 7.10%. We're actually up to about 8.5 million. Love to see that. And the number of new wallets did decline about 40%, which also shows the engagement around the retail side when it comes to the market. So, although, yeah, some things are changing here, I still think that I think that we're witnessing, a big push around utility-based projects, but XRP is leading the way. I think XRP is extremely dominant today, which I don't understand why everyone is complaining about how XRP has been, performing. Because if we go back to, just last year, we were trading at about, 40 cents, 50 cents. At times, it was actually sub 40 cents as well. So when we're thinking about XRP today, I'm not too concerned at all about price action. I actually still am focused on all of these moves happening. And it's very clear that XRP is here to take over, and it is taking over. It's becoming a very dominant crypto asset that's been dominating the space over the last couple months, and technically like the last whole year. And I love to see that. And I think every XRP holder should be focused on the facts here. And the facts are, we're starting to see a lot more amendments opening up the doors for institutional adoption of XRP and the XRPL. We're seeing a lot of growth happening around wallets and the ecosystem of XRP as well. And even though I know that Ripple is not XRP and XRP is not Ripple, Ripple is becoming extremely successful on their push to not only create other revenue streams, but also, you know, to really kind of expand their overall offering and ultimately take over in a big way around the crypto space with acquisitions like Hidden Road. And I think that this is only going to continue. I only think that Ripple and XRP are going to become more and more dominant as time goes on, especially as the market really kind of switches from the, you know, Bitcoin side and the hype and speculation side to a more utility focused side. And I think that that's when a lot of people will realize and actually recognize how valuable XRP actually is. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.